Ni hao, and what is up, YouTube? My name is G3 Iron, and today we are taking a look at PoE China. So this was a topic that has come up per requests over the last couple of years since Grinding Gear Games was majoritively bought out by Tencent. And a lot of different folks have asked on the channel, hey Iron, can you show off what PoE looks like in China? Can you highlight some of the differences? And a lot of folks inside our community didn't even know that there were differences between Path of Exile on the international scale and Path of Exile in terms of the Tencent Chinese Wii game that is available. So first off, the first thing that I want to say as we're clarifying this or starting this discussion is there's a lot of controversy at the moment surrounding lots of different topics surrounding China, especially just hot topics here in the Western world and in most of the English-speaking world about China. This particular discussion is for talking about PoE and the differences between the international version of Path of Exile, which is run and hosted and developed by Grinding Gear Games, and the differences between that, the international version, that's how Chris and the team at Grinding Gear Games has talked about the worldwide version that many of us in Europe, in Southeast Asia, as well as in Oceania, as well as in North and South America. The international version is what we all play on. It's what we all know and love as Path of Exile. And the differences between that version, the international version, and the Tencent Chinese domestic version that is only available inside China. Now, first off, as we're looking through different links and videos and discussion points today, this isn't to critique, this isn't to say one is better than the other, this is simply to point out some differences. I'm going to leave the judgment up to you all about what you think is good, what you think is bad. There are some things that I think are good, some things that I think are bad, and so of course feel free to disagree with me at any point in time, and as always you can drop us a comment and let us know how much you disagree with my slightly balding opinions down below in the comments. Okay, so all that being said, this is the website. It will be linked down below in the video description, poe.qq.com. This is their host website for the internal Chinese version of Path of Exile. You can see right above my slightly balding forehead, instead of timestamps, you see a QR code. Almost everything in terms of Chinese interactivity is based off of QR codes. For those of you that are unfamiliar or who haven't done business in China or done business with Chinese international companies, they have their own version of social media. It is called WeChat. It is a wonderfully spectacular program and so many different user interactive versions and abilities and realistically features that are available all built into one platform. Imagine for a moment, and this is maybe a terrible analogy, maybe somebody else has got a better analogy, but imagine if you had Twitter, if you had Facebook, if you had YouTube, if you had Discord, and if you had your banking accounts and your email accounts. Imagine if everything was crammed into one thing. Everything, your PayPal, your Apple Pay, your credit card statement, your rent transactions, your emojis, your text messaging. Imagine if all of that was encapsulated into one particular app that you could open up and interact with. And that is WeChat for many different Chinese users. It's a wonderful, wonderful program. I'll just speak of it as a program. There's, of course, always controversies about other topics and how it's used and the negatives and the positives of it. Again, we're not going to get into all that. So when you see a QR code on a Chinese website, what it's doing is it's asking you to boot up your WeChat and to use your WeChat QR code scanner in order to link your WeChat account with whatever it is that you're about to log in with. Now, on the one hand, again, I'm not going to get into all the negatives and the politics of it. On the one hand, this is very, very appealing because it means that you don't necessarily have to have a bunch of different passwords for a bunch of different websites. You don't necessarily have to remember a bunch of different logins or have a bunch of different spread out, different unassociated accounts that aren't all linked together, right? We have that in the West. When you go to log in for one game, it's different than when you go to log in for another game, which is different than when you go to log in on your social media, which is different than when you get onto YouTube to laugh at my balding forehead, right? Those are all different things. However, with WeChat, you can simply scan your QR code and boom, away you go. So that is the website. Whenever you see those QR codes, that's what you're looking at. You can already see that the website is vastly different from regular international PoE. There are lots of different things on here that if you don't understand what they say right now, don't worry. We're going to get into some translated versions of the website that we can read together in English. But I just wanted to show you this is what their website looks like, the PoE Chinese version of the game. what it looks like from the get-go when you first visit their website. Now, one of the hot topics and hot features about playing PoE in China is using an auto pickup pet. We're going to watch this video. This video is, of course, linked down below. It is from Don't Call Ambulance. And so we're going to watch and see exactly what this thing does. You can see the user going and selecting their microtransaction stash, selecting their pet, opening up the store and showing that there's lots of pets available. All of these pets, of course, are cosmetically available for us on the international stage. But did you see just there how his inventory went from empty to full? Where is it? Right here. Here we go. As soon as he swaps out his pet, he walks around, the pet starts picking up various currency items. This is called a loot pickup pet on the Chinese server. You can set it to pick up different, just straight up different things. Essentially, it's like a loot filter, but for those different items that you want your auto-looting pet to pick up. Obviously, it could get very, very problematic if you just say pick up everything, and then all of a sudden you've got an inventory full of crap. Okay, this is an English-translated, Google-translated version of that same front page website. You see, we got the 2nd anniversary alumni box sale. We've got exquisite fashion and utility items. This is another storefront. You've got the mystery chest, or for us, this would be the random loot box chest. And then, of course, you've got the costumes that you can buy for various items, for various skill effects, for various gem effects. That's what the Slayer is representing. And then, of course, you've also got daily and weekly events that you can participate in order to unlock awards. It's much more designed like a progressive MMO where you're going to log in and unlock different things and get rewarded daily for logging in. Not just are you going to get master's missions for this stuff, but you're going to progress towards cosmetics on the Chinese server as you log in. So you can see that there is the Blight League announcement here: resist the epidemic, purify the source. You've got this severe crisis, spread of bacteria. It is raging, right? So again, this is all just Google translated off of Chinese words, but this is what the Blight League is over there. You can see it's the same gameplay, it's the same mechanics for the most part, but there are some enhancements, some changes, and some differences in the business model of how things are going to work. Of course, there is the market that is now available over in China, which they did not always have. This website that we use, that we're very familiar with, that is the official Path of Exile trade website, that actually hasn't always been there and available in China. They always have had some form of an auction house or an in-game listing service. I don't really want to refer to it as an auction house because it's changed over the years. It's developed more into an auction house, but it originally started out as simply a listing service. So you would simply list something and then trade something based off of the listed price. And they didn't have necessarily the powerful search tools that we've got over here on the international version. So this is a big part of the new aspects of PoE in the most recent editions of like Blight League and Synthesis League moving forward, and Legion League, is that they now have the ability to actually make trades via the website and to list things. Then, of course, all of this is connected to your phone. Phones are huge in the Chinese market and in all sorts of Chinese games. It doesn't mean that PoE is a mobile game in China, but rather that there's mobile interactions and mobile activities that you can do on your phone that interact with things in game. You can get currency, you can purchase different items, you can, of course, interact with your characters and swap in and out cosmetics, all from the convenience of your phone. Now, you and I can do this on our phones if we want to use something like a remote desktop app where we're still interacting with our client, but we're not actually interacting in the game through our phone. Our phone is interacting with our desktop, and our desktop is still interacting with the game or our laptop. Well, in the Chinese version of the client, you can, of course, do all of these various different things, and it adds some very serious functionality for a group of people that are oftentimes on their phone or maybe busy with work. So maybe you've got access to your phone, but you don't have access to your desktop or to your laptop to actually play. Well, you can still interact with the game that way. And again, you're going to see those QR codes showing exactly how to scan and earn rewards or interact with your account. You can accumulate fashion pieces in succession in each way, and you can collect them in under 20 pieces, and you can receive 2 times per person. Essentially, as you share and as you invite more friends to play PoE with you on the Chinese client, you will get more and more in-game cosmetics. Okay, so this is the Delve stash tab that went on sale. You can see when it went on sale, Exile Road Operations Team Time, when it was posted. But this is essentially all of the new stuff that came out associated with the Blight League, but also with the Delve tab that got sold, along with all of these various microtransactions that were attached to it. And of course, you see a very familiar image, a QR code for you to interact with and to purchase this second anniversary bargaining discount. Moving on, you can see right here on this page, this is, I believe, the mid-autumn sales pack. So during the season 9, you can invite one friend or accept a friend invitation to bind teammates and grow up together and enjoy the gift. So essentially, you are binding yourself with another account, and then you get these various rewards, whether that's a random loot box, whether that's a pet, or whether that's an in-game cosmetic for your hideout. Of course, there's a bunch of these other things that are randomized, that are either purchasable for yourself, or that are purchasable in-game, or that are earnable in-game based on your lucky draw. So there's actual gambling that you can interact with on your phone in order to get these various things. Okay, so from September 12th to September 15th, you can pick up your pets by logging in to the game every day. You do need to re-log in to the game to get the prize. You can get the reward if you log in online in advance. So again, you see the culture here that it's very, very important built in to the ethos of Path of Exile on the Chinese server that you're logging in all the time. Well, what if you're on a business trip, or what if you're on holiday, or what if you're away from your desktop, right? This is one of the reasons why having a mobile access and a mobile point using something like WeChat to be able to QR scan code and log in is very, very important, because they're going to incentivize you to continually log in and get rewarded for doing so. So all of that really, really matters. By the way, just as a short tidbit, short sidetrack, QR codes are actually the way that you share your contact with other people using WeChat on that platform. So if you, instead of having to ask the question like, hey, what's your phone number so I can text you, or hey, what's your Discord information? I was actually interacting with a gamer the other day, and we both found out that we both had Discord, and we were trying to share one another's Discord information, but neither of us actually had our phones on at the time. On us at that point in time. And so it was like, well, what's your Discord name? Well, I'll write it down on a piece of paper and remember it. No, it's so obnoxious. If you have your phones out using WeChat, you can literally just scan each other's QR code, because you have a unique QR code for your WeChat, and it'll give you all of that person's contact information, so that way they're saved in your phone. So again, very, very mobile friendly website and mobile friendly platform for the game, in order to incentivize users to be using their mobile devices to interact as much as possible with one another and with the game. Okay, this is what the auction house looks like as of a year ago on the Chinese server. This is what I was talking about when I said that there used to be just listing tabs. So essentially what you would do is you would list things in your tab, and then essentially you'd put a buyout price, but the buyout price would be legitimate in that once you set it at a buyout price, if somebody else bought that thing at that buyout price, it was then sold to them. They would simply come and pick it up, and it was theirs. There wasn't necessarily any haggling. There wasn't necessarily any opportunity for there to be scamming. It was simply sold. So on the one hand, this is a little bit like an auction house, but on the other hand, when you think that a year ago they didn't have the PoE trade website in the same way that they do now on the Chinese server, it made for a massive mess of actually sorting out what was valued at what prices for the listing sites that were available. So that's something that's available, and I know that that's always a hot topic here in the Western world about whether or not we're ever going to have an auction house in PoE. I've been on record saying before, I don't think one is coming ever, but I think if one is coming, it'll come with 4.0, but I don't think one will ever come to Path of Exile on the international stage, for as long as Chris is in charge and has a say in anything at Grinding Gear Games. Okay, moving on. So, to specifically clear up the topic of an auction house, this is dating back to 2017. Some people were saying, hey, they've got an auction house over in China. Why don't we have an auction house internationally? Well, here's some clarification. There's no auction house, at least as of 2017, and we know that today it's a little bit different. But there was no auction house. There's only an in-game listing sort of service, and everyone in the Western world who's complaining that there's no PoE trade kind of website, that's a big, big problem, which they've fixed now in 2019. This is how trade worked back in 2017 in China. You would list something for a certain price, people would search it, then message that person to initiate the trade request. The trade doesn't need two players in the same realm. They can even trade wherever they are as long as both parties are online. Because there's no clear price list for items, you have lowballing and overpriced items all over the place, similar to the early auction house in Diablo 3. You even have people playing flipping all day. It's a real mess. Okay, so that's the general description of what it used to be. Moving on now to an item that we've seen on the PoE official website in the packages that you can purchase over here. You see some coins over here on the far left on this purchase package, and we're wondering, hey, what is that coin? Well, it's called a Revive coin. You can actually purchase Revive coins. Now, this is from all the way back in 2016 was this photo, but these Revive coins are still present. So the price points aren't necessarily still active or still present. I'm not sure what the exact transaction rate on those are, but these are still present in the game. So you can revive without losing XP. So essentially, when you die and you lose XP, if you use a revive coin, then you get that XP back, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. So you simply have these coins that you spend, and if you're pushing for level 100, if you have enough of these coins, it doesn't matter how many times you die. Or conversely, there's even a way to do this in hardcore. So if you die, you can regain your character, which kind of makes it go, wait a minute, what was the point of even playing hardcore in the first place? So there are some things that make me scratch my head. Here is what the Revive coin looks like, and you can see this is just the straight up regular Path of Exile wiki, and it's there. So it's present inside the Western game. It's around. It's got the art assets, as it were, in the Western game. It's just never been implemented, which is very, very interesting that it's over here. So it allows you to revive at the most recent checkpoint without losing experience due to the death penalty. Okay, we're going to move on to our last couple of things. These are, again, some English translated versions of some websites. And when you're looking at these different websites, the key thing to remember, if you want to look at any of these are down below in the video description. The key thing to remember whenever you're using Google Translate is it's probably a terrible translation. So just take the general idea of it. Don't take the explicit exact wording and say this is exactly what it says in another language. Never do that when you're interacting. Never do that when you're interacting with international business. If you're interacting in a language that you don't know, assume that Google Translate is doing an okay job, but not an exceptional job at translating. All right, so moving on here. We've got the Izolo, only sweat cannot live up to, glory can be achieved by hard work. This is essentially a supporter pack that comes with all sorts of cosmetics. And then you've got the Cardillo version of a supporter pack over on the Chinese server. You can see here, depending on the amount of points that you purchase and the points that you spend, you get market pages, you get talent reset points, which is essentially in-game regret orbs, as it were, where you can reset your character. You've got welfare coupons, which you can use to redeem in-game points, of course, that we all have on the international servers as well, that we've got in-game currency that we can spend to make microtransaction purchases. And then, of course, if you unlock the upgraded book, you can see that you get a synthetic treasure chest, you get some currency, you get a pickup pet, you get a fashion fragment, which lets you put together random MTX. And then, of course, you get a random box as well. And then there are all of these login bonuses that you get. You can start out as an Exile, Bronze, Silver, Gold, Platinum, Diamond, Grandmaster, simply for logging in and completing these various challenges that are going to be incorporated throughout the 9 weeks of a particular challenge on the Chinese server. Lastly, the last thing that we're going to show off today is a big deal in the Path of Exile community over on the Chinese realm, and I couldn't see how this wouldn't be a big deal. Imagine for a moment if I told you, when you log into Path of Exile, if you could say that you were going to automatically have, with a purchase, you were going to automatically have several different stash tabs available to you, as well as a very helpful leveling unique item that is now available to you throughout the entirety of your account's existence in Path of Exile. Every single league, you will have a leveling item that is helpful to you at the start of the league. Look no further than this particular package here on the right. That's right, when you buy this package, you actually get an account-bound tabula rasa that you get to use every single league. It's there, it's for you. You can straight up buy a tabula rasa using your IRL money for in-game items. So, all of that being said, that's a little bit of the differences between the Chinese mainland version of Path of Exile and the international version of Path of Exile. There's a lot of things that in the West we would say are either pay to win or pay to advance or pay to progress, and we wouldn't necessarily enjoy it. And thank goodness that we don't have those things, and that GGG is not the same style company that other companies are that are having upcoming conferences and that may have mobile action RPGs coming on the horizon. But anyway, thank goodness GGG isn't those other guys. right? Thank goodness that GGG really does stick to their principles. They really do keep the game as free to play as possible, and offer so many different transactions that aren't like buying a tabula rasa. Just give us $10 and we'll give you a tabula rasa. My goodness. Anyway, so those are some of the differences. Let us know what you think about some of the differences between the international servers of Path of Exile as well as the national server for the PoE Tencent game that is owned and operated inside mainland China. Let us know what you think down below in the comments. And of course, as always, I'm sure I have screwed up a number of things in this video, so feel free to clarify and point out all of the different ways in which my bald head has made errors. And I hope that today is the day a Mirror of Calandra drops for you on whatever server it is that you're playing on.
Thanks for watching that video. If you'd like more information on any of our discussion points today, you can see them down below in the video description. If you'd also like to join our Discord or support our Patreon, you can do so with the links down below. Thanks again, and big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters.